Howdy once again, it's tubalcain, your YouTube shop teacher. Thanks for joining me. And today is going to be episode number 29 of my What Makes It Work series. I haven't done one in quite a while, and this will also feature one of my cutaways. So some of you like that, so this will be cut away later in the video. Now, what is this item? This is really a child of the 50s and 60s. It's called the Rigid Supreme VERSAMATIC, and it's nothing more than a attachment, a reversible power drill speed reducer used to drive screws and to tap holes and things like that, long before the days of the variable speed and reversible drill. Those of you as old as me remember these advertised in men's magazines. And by men's magazines, by the way, I mean Popular Science and Popular Mechanics. I think they were fairly expensive at that time, and you recognize the name Rigid and Supreme. Now, Supreme drill chucks were used on millions of drills. They also made tapping devices, attachments for drill presses and things like that. So it was a widely known name, Supreme, as well as Rigid for pipe tools and so on. So I bought this at a garage sale for $1. Why $1? Because it's a piece of junk. It's archaic. It was patented about in the mid-50s, and I will show you the patent drawing for that if you're interested. It came complete in this particular box at a garage sale. I guess I said $1, but it included this little device here to hold sockets, and a straight screwdriver, and the Phillips screwdriver, and this little, it's a wrench, it's already been bent, used to tighten this. So first of all, what I'm going to do is go through the entire deal here and show you how this works and what it was used for. I hope you have some interest in that. And then I will proceed to take it apart and cut it apart, make it into a cutaway. There will be an accompanying video that will show how to make cutaways. Some of you liked my cutaways of various kinds, and I'm going to show you how I make cutaways. So be sure and watch that companion video when available. This piece is made of die-cast aluminum, and on the end here is the patent number, so feel free to look that up on Google Patents. If I remember, I'll put a copy of the patent drawing in this video, but it probably would be better if you looked that number up. It's very easy to find on Google Patents. Here is the patent drawing approved in 1957. Think of 57 Chevys now. They were still using overdrives on those cars that looked like this, and it was filed in 54, so you can see the bureaucracy slowed them down by 3 years. So that's the upper part showing the planetary system, and here is the lower part showing what is inside the sealed portion. And I don't fully understand it. I will after I cut into it and make the actual cutaway. Now, it's not totally clear to me at this time. Now, this has a 7-to-1 reduction ratio, and Madison Avenue put it this way. They said it fits all power drills, and it boosts the power 7 times. So that's a 7-to-1 ratio, and I counted it as well to verify it. And I think you can imagine, for all of you that watch my videos and have a little mechanical knowledge, that in order to reduce the speed, a planetary gear system is employed. So that is what is in the top part here, but it's a mystery what is in the bottom part. And the reason it's a mystery is because this is a sealed unit here. This I can open up, and I will show it to you later. And the screwdriver attachment can very easily be removed or changed simply by unscrewing and pulling it out. And it looks something like a Yankee screwdriver type attachment, screwdriver bits, but I doubt that it would interchange. They would not be so kind. To start with, I think I'll show you a little bit of a history lesson here, if you can bear with me, on the evolution of screwdrivers and how we drive screws. Well, you know, here's an old screwdriver from days gone by, but we had screwdrivers ever since Archimedes came up with the screw, I think. Of course, the manual screwdriver was a handy thing because it could be used for many things other than driving screws, as Primitive Pete demonstrates. If you had to drive thousands of screws a day, this would get pretty tiresome, and especially if they were large screws. So somebody came up with, of course, the brace and screwdriver bit, and that gave you much more leverage. And this was a handy device years ago and used quite often. It had the ratchet on it. And then later, some genius, the Yankee brothers, came up with the Yankee screwdriver. That was the Archimedes Screw, and these came in many sizes. These were extremely popular and useful in the olden days. You could change the bit, you could reverse it, you could lock it. There was just a lot of leverage. These were expensive. There's the reversing mechanism. But now totally archaic. Other companies made them as well. These are a dime a dozen at a garage sale. Probably most of them have been thrown away. On Saturday, for a special thrill, we fire up the Yankee drill. You younger guys aren't even all that familiar probably with regular corded drills, but here's the evolution on these. Here's an old Milwaukee screw shooter, strictly 110 volt, but there is no reverse, there is no variable speed, and that's the way they made drills for 50 or 70 years. Some of these were extremely expensive. This would have been a high-end, all die-cast aluminum, and then as they evolved, more and more plastic came into use, and then fast forward to the late 60s or 70s, all drills started to come with plastic cases and larger chucks, variable speed, and reverse. So that made it possible to drive screws with the electric drills. Now, you couldn't drive one with the older style because they ran too fast and they did not reverse. And then, of course, for you younger guys, this is all that you had, and it really is an amazing device. It's variable speed, it's reversible, even has a little light, albeit relatively worthless. Keyless chuck, well, I'm telling you too much here. Comes in color, so it'll sell well off the shelf. Look like tennis shoes. Some of them are embarrassing the way they have colored them. You'd be ashamed to take them to the job site. The trouble with this device was that it made your work piece here outrageously long as compared to the DeWalt. And the lithium battery, I forgot to mention, these were worthless until the lithium battery was employed. I had many of them, and that's the only good one I ever owned. So, and I do like it very much. So, this came with a complete set of instructions on how to use it, and those were still in the box. So that is very interesting. But, all right, well, how does this work? You're saying, finally, tell us how this darn thing works. Well, get ready to drive a screw. This is a 2,000 RPM drill. Really, well, the load speed is 1250, but the free speed is 2,000. It's really way too fast for what I'm doing here even, but that's all I have in the way of old drills, and I'm surprised I haven't thrown this away. But anyway, I still got it. I'm glad I do. 1/4 inch shank on this and 1/4 inch chuck. Okay, to actually use this, you put your screw in, and there's no magnet here. Now, you know, we got magnets now. That's another great improvement. So, at some point, just hang on to the outer part here, and it reduces the speed 1 to 7, and you're ready to drill. And that's forward. That's how you drive them. Well, how do you unscrew them? This is rather awkward, but to get into the reversible mode, you unscrew this like that, and then when you're ready to unscrew, you'll hold this end. Notice that it's running in the reverse direction. All right, now I'm going to screw in some screws, and then I'm going to remove them. But it's not that easy to go from forward to reverse. It takes a moment as opposed to one of these. Alright, here's how to use it, and I've got several screws started, drywall type screws in the 2x4, and you can put the tip of your bit right into the screw like that, and Notice that it just idles until I grab this. Now, in order to stop it so it doesn't coast and go in too far, I just take my hand off of that portion of it. So, and you get the idea. But a pretty useful device. Now I'll unscrew those. To remove screws, again, it's just the opposite. Put it in there. I split the 2x4 there with all the screws in a row. Don't know what I was thinking of. But okay, you get the idea on what it is and how to use it. Now let's talk about how it actually works. I know I wasted 8 minutes here. The drawings here, or the instructions, show a little drawing of the VERSAMATIC disassembled, but just the upper part of the case, but you can clearly see that there are planetary gears in there, and that's what causes the reverse, or the speed reduction. And see what's in there. Well, we know what's in there. Shoulder bolts. This is nicely made, really. I don't know which side I want to take off here. And there it is. And of course this is the driven end, and this is the driver end. So you can clearly see there on the input shaft is the sun gear. I'll pull that out. Those are the planetary gears, and of course the outer one is the ring gear. I was going to count those just to verify the reduction 7-to-1, but now these are of course out. So let me put those back in real quickly and you'll see it work here by hand. I have always been intrigued by planetary gear systems since my dad first showed me a Model T system. And I must have been 10 years old, but I liked that, and I still do. All right, I did take the time to count. There are 9 teeth on the input sun gear, and there are 54 teeth on the ring gear. And you've all seen these operate, and that gives you the reduction. Be sure and watch my pull gear videos where I go through a system like this, and how to reverse it with some idler gears. So I did a little bit of a cutaway, I guess you could call it, in that one. But that is how the gear reduction is achieved, through this system. Okay, now I'm going to take those out of there, but this part is pressed together, sealed, so there is no way to get at that, and that's what I'm going to make a cutaway of. And I'm going to make a cutaway of this as well. You can see how that's built. It's die cast. I said it was die cast, and that is an oilite type sintered bronze bushing there, made in Chicago, 100 miles from me. Die cast. So I am interrupting this video now to make another video, and in that video I'm going to cut this away and show how I made the cutaway. Then I will return here almost instantly, by the magic of television, to show you the cutaway so you can see this operating with the cutaway. And I'm not sure how this works in here. I really don't know. But to cut away this, I'm either going to use a hacksaw or the milling machine. I haven't decided how to do that. I've made it a lot of different ways. So I'll see you in 3 hours, but actually it'll be 1 second. It's a day later. Welcome back. And this is what I've done. I cut a window in here, and that will reveal the planetary gears as they're revolving. That'll be fun to see, and it's pretty obvious. We already knew that. The problem is with the window that I cut in to this piece with the milling machine, that's shown in the other video, that there still is not a lot to be seen that you can understand. Let me try to explain this as I did in the other one, and then I'm going to assemble it and operate it. To repeat myself, when driving screws, this is the portion that is held still. I don't have the planetaries in there, but I have these 3 screws in there to hold this nut in place. Because in fact now, if I was driving a screw, I would be holding this, just as I am now, and it is in the forward position, and of course it's reduced in speed by a 7-to-1 ratio. Now in order to reverse it, of course, we pull this out. Not pull it out, I screw it out. That comes off. I guess I didn't show you that. In order to change some bits down here. Okay, now I'm going to remove these 3 screws real quickly and you'll see what happens. Now this nut will fall out, and it is normally bolted directly to this plate by those 3 bolts. Now the interesting thing about this nut is that it's a 3-start thread. I've talked about multiple start threads. It's a 3-start thread. I put a marquee Sharpie on the beginning of each thread. Now what the purpose of a multiple start thread is to give you fast action. So when screwing this in, rather than taking 3 or 4 or 5 turns, it's just just 1 or 2 turns. So, and then looking in here, that piece won't come out because the hole isn't big enough. But there is the screw, also 3-start. It goes into this piece, which is fastened to the plate. Again, when reversing, this nut is taken out of action. It could just as well be on the bench or in my hand because it is not needed. But remember that I hold the other portion for reversing this portion, so then it's a matter of action and reaction, and now we are running in the reverse direction. Now I'll put it back together and see what we can see as I use it, but not much. We're really only going to see the planetary. Here it is in the forward mode, 7-to-1 ratio with me holding the end. And then for reversing, all the way out, remember that disengages this 3-start nut. And now I'm in reverse. I'm sorry the cutaway doesn't reveal more in here, but I did take it apart to show you that. Let's take a look in here. This is really why I did it, so you can see the planetaries. As mentioned before, with this little adapter, in place of the screwdriver bit, you could use little sockets to drive hex bolts and hex nuts and things like that. Now also in the directions here is directions for tapping with the VERSAMATIC, and in order to do that you remove this outer knurled nut, and that's a 1/2 20 thread there. And for best results, use a Supreme chuck, but I'm going to use a Jacobs that is threaded, and that would just thread on like so. Now the problem with tapping with this is that hardened tap tends to slip in hardened chuck jaws, so good luck on getting a good grip on it, but it is a possibility. I'm not going to demonstrate that because for that matter, tapping could be done with this drill. But there it is in the tapping mode. And of course it's reversible, but a little awkward. I believe it's awkward to reverse this. Well, that concludes this video on the Rigid Supreme VERSAMATIC. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure and watch my many other videos. This is tubalcain saying so long for now.